Hey everyone, in this video we're going to see Smarter Jannah try to defend child marriage but take great pains to dodge the question of whether he would support it in today's world. Now, the atheist who he's spoken to has just asked him to explain how child marriage works in Islam. Let's see what he says.
Yeah, so in Islam there's a principle. Like if I was to ask you what age should a woman be ready for marriage, what age would you say?
For marriage? Well,
Or consummation of marriage?
Are you asking me is in 2024? Or like
now, now.
I mean,
According to your opinion.
a 6-year-old, no way, shape or form can a 6-year-old marry.
Yeah, I mean, this is how most rational people are going to answer. Like, regardless of whether you're going to say things like, 16, 18, or maybe even later, no one in their right mind is going to say 6 years old unless you happen to be an Islamist like this guy.
It ain't happening. What age? I'd probably say 16.
16.
I think so.
Why 16?
It's a good question. I don't know about brain development and blah, 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 but I guess you're still developing up to then. I think 16, I'm saying in this country you can drive at 17, I think you can, voting at 18, but it's just a number I picked. I mean, you've got your teenage years, you're still developing, so I'm just going to stick at 16. I can't give you a definitive answer.
Yeah, and a lot of people probably wouldn't because they haven't thought about it, and the age of consent is 16 in the UK. So most people are going to default to that, but there is good reason to set it at that age or possibly higher, as he's talking about in terms of things like the brain development as well as the body development. You remove a lot of the harm if you wait to at least the age of 16. So it's quite a reasonable age to set it at, I think.
Do you think a woman is ready for consummation?
I mean, it's not really something I think
Scientifically?
about. Yeah, sure. It's not something I think about.
Puberty? That's typically what people say. When your body...
No, it's not typically what people say, considering that puberty can start very young. But even on average, I mean, puberty can begin at, say, 10, 11, 12 or whatever, the very first signs of it. That is not the age most people are going to say for consummation. That's the kind of thing that you're going to say.
Is ready, then you're ready.
But then again, there's other factors, like, because there's the age.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
it's a tricky one.
So I just wanted to garner where you are.
9 years old.
So...
Yeah, not 9 years old, not 6 for marriage, not 9 for consummation, because that's crazy.
So she was betrothed at the age of 6. That doesn't mean they're married. She was betrothed. The Prophet waited for her to get ready.
Yeah.
Now in Arabia, the age, in fact, even in the 1980s, there's a journal article. Now, I don't know when you're talking about evidence, what you regard as evidence.
Yeah.
So scientifically, what you regard as evidence is peer-reviewed journals. So there's someone called Marcia Herman Giddens in the 1980s.
Right.
She said that in our textbooks, medical textbooks, it says 12 is the age that a girl is ready for intercourse. She says because she was a medical woman, she said from my observations of the development of the breasts and of periods, it's 9.
Right, I think this is basically just a straight up lie. Now, Smarter Jannah is doing what a lot of these Darba guys do. They'll try and quote some kind of Western academic to shore up their case. But as usual, he's misrepresented. Now, I looked up this Marcia Herman Giddens, and I will put a link down from Google Scholar, which lists kind of her cited articles. Everything she's talking about, as far as I can see, looking down the list, is about it's about the development of children. And yes, she does talk about things like secondary sexual characteristics in girls, sometimes starting by the age of 9 years old or even slightly earlier. But she's not saying that means that the girls are ready for consummation at that age. And simply talking about the development of certain sexual characteristics. And bearing in mind, considering that much of her work is related to identifying things like child sexual abuse, there is no way that this woman is advocating and saying that a girl was ready that young to get into that kind of relationship. That is a complete corruption of what this academic is saying. So Anyone who wants to check summaries of her work can do this. As I say, there'll be a link in the description. But this is just a complete lie, as far as I can see.
Yeah, that's Marcia Herman Giddens. She's off the US.
Who is she, sorry?
Marcia Herman Giddens. She's a doctor.
Okay.
And she's written a peer-reviewed article, and the article you can find online. That's why I've given you her name.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, when he was talking about being ready, well, in a couple of those articles, she says that the average age for menstruation is 12 years old. She doesn't say 9. So even if we were to take his complete corruption of what this woman's work is saying, it doesn't even fit. She wouldn't be saying 9 years old. It's 12 when menstruation starts when you look at her articles. But again, she's not saying that girls are ready at that age. She's simply describing stages of the development of the human body.
And normally also the reason why I have the conversations online, because if people think I'm just gassing, because I've given certain names, they can go home and they can check it.
Yeah, but you gave a name and just said, oh, she's got articles in the 1980s. So that's pretty fucking vague. And yeah, you are gassing. I assume you mean gaslighting. Yeah, you are, because there's no Western academic is going to produce an article like that and say a girl is ready to be consummated in marriage at 9 years old. It's just not going to happen, mate.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Personal question.
Do you want me to just finish that? Because
Sure, go for it.
yeah, because I want you to kind of just see where it's coming from and then have an informed thing.
Yeah.
So that's what she said. Now,
It's really not what she said, you liar.
Islamically, there's 3 criteria for us for marriage. One is she has to be physically ready.
Okay.
And how do you determine that? Never explain that. What test do you use? It's basically just once she bleeds, she's ready to breed. That is pretty much what you think.
She's not physically ready, it's impermissible. Number 2, she has to be mentally ready.
Again, how do you determine that? It's never explained. It's just basically just propaganda words to use. There's no test. There's nothing specific about that.
Okay.
And number 3, it has to be socially acceptable.
That's a new one, and it's not really true, because that is not what it says in Islam. It has to be socially acceptable. That's something you grafted on. And what that really means is, if you're living in a place where you can't enforce Sharia law, you're going to have to accept that you're going to be put in jail if you try it. So what you really mean when you say it has to be socially acceptable is Muslims have to be running the place and imposing Sharia law before you can do it.
This Quran, this is Islam.
Yeah, Islam.
And but is there any age specifics associated to that?
Yeah, so what we say is actually in line with modern day science. So if you look in
The fuck it is.
Nature 2017 journal, it says that there's no age for maturity.
Okay.
Yeah, and in Islam,
What we're supposed to do to fact check that, go through every single article from Nature in the year of 2017 to find this supposed claim you've made. I mean, I just dismissed that out of hand as a load of old bollocks.
that's the criteria that we have. When a girl starts menstruating and she's mentally ready.
So there you go. So physically ready just means menstruation, which, as we all know, that can start pretty much at the age of like 1 year old. In certain cases, you can get precocious puberty, I think it's called, and even the average, you're still physically not going to be ready for that kind of relationship. It doesn't matter that you've started to menstruate. There are way more physical realities that you have to take into account before a body is ready for sex. So really, when you say physically ready, you are just saying menstruation.
And it's socially acceptable, then she can get married.
Okay.
But again, before she gets married, she has to be asked her permission. So we have that in something called the hadith, which are the sayings of the Prophet.
Right.
Now, you only ask someone's permission if they are mentally at a certain level, isn't it?
Yeah, and a 6-year-old will never be at that level. I don't care how clever, how worldly someone is. There's no way they're going to understand the long-term implications, even just of being in a marriage, let alone the physical side of it, which could be extremely harmful for them.
You can't ask a child, well, like they do nowadays, oh, do you want to be a boy, do you want to be a girl?
Sure.
Oh, again, always dodge into trans issues. I mean, this all these guys have got these days is like, oh, the boy, the girl thing. Nothing to do with it. And secondly, again, you cannot ask a child whether it's today or whether it was 1400 years ago. They do not have capacity to consent.
You can't. You only ask a girl when she's mentally ready. So there's...
And again, there's no test for that, is there? Show me the Islamic test which you put them through to show that they're mentally ready.
It's that mental side of it. Physically ready, Aisha herself.
Was she asked, Aisha?
Yeah.
Oh,
You can't do it without asking.
okay.
And even when the Prophet passed, even during the marriage to the Prophet, she could have asked for something called the khula. Khula is when a woman is unhappy with the marriage,
Yeah.
she can ask to nullify that marriage.
Okay.
If there's something called the harm principle. If she feels that she's being harmed,
Okay.
sexually, physically, mentally, however, if she feels she's being harmed, she can nullify that marriage. In Judaism,
Yeah, but you're being dishonest here because there is such a thing, the hula or however it's pronounced. You'll have to forgive me because of my poor Arabic pronunciation. But the husband has to give their consent. So therefore, if the husband says no, she's going to go through the whole rigmarole of going to a Sharia court where we know in all likelihood, since it's always run by men and the decisions are always incredibly misogynistic, they're going to say, oh, no, go back, just work it out, don't divorce. So he's acting as if this is like some unilateral decision, the way like the Muslim men can do that with divorce. It's not. You have to get the husband's, it has to be a dual decision. The husband has to agree to it. So this is a really dishonest portrayal.
you can't do that. There's something called the get, yeah, which ironically you can't get unless the man gives it. So
yeah, that's really funny. But again, why bother dodging to stuff about Judaism or Christianity or Hinduism or any other religion? It's constant whataboutery. It does not help you out.
divorce by a woman is not permissible within Judaism. In Christianity, in the Bible, I'm sure you know, you listen to Bob and these guys, but within Islam, a woman can get a khula.
Yeah, if her husband agrees. So it's basically worthless.
Aisha didn't get a khula. And on top of that, it was something that was considered normal. That's why you even got Jordan Peterson as well. Jordan Peterson, yeah. Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, who gives a flying fuck what Jordan Peterson thinks? I mean, whether people like Jordan Peterson or not, he has made it clear that he knows absolutely nothing about Islam. So he's not, his opinion on this stuff is not worth anything.
Peterson is a Christian. He was asked, do you have any issues with that? He goes, no, because in those times, it was something that was permissible. And we even have our royal family members and even people in England who are doing similar stuff. So the age is not much of an issue.
No, the age, of course the age is an issue. This is the whole point when you're trying to defend child marriage, is that the age is an issue. And the thing is, if you're going to critique it from the point of view of, okay, it was in the past, and yes, most cultures did permit child marriage, although let's be fair, they tended to be considerably older than 6. I mean, you're normally talking kind of 12, 13, 14, that kind of thing. First of all, it wasn't common. And secondly, it wasn't that young. And then thirdly, we're not just talking about 1400 years ago, are we? Because the point is, you're defending this practice as a whole. And lastly, Muhammad's supposed to be the prophet of God, and this is supposed to be morality for all time. So therefore, if it was wrong now, it should be wrong then as well.
So those are the criteria. She has to be asked her permission, she has to be physically ready, and it has to be socially acceptable. If it's not socially acceptable, if she's not mentally ready, and she's being physically harmed, she can nullify that marriage. She didn't nullify that marriage. And on top of that, she, even after the Prophet passed away, she didn't say that she was coerced, she was unhappy. She continued narrating about the Prophet.
Yeah, and this is an apologetic, I think, that Ali Darwa used as well when he was trying to convince a 16-year-old girl that child marriage was a great thing. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link to that video in the description as well. Yeah, he was making the same argument that, oh, well, I shouldn't complain. She didn't say she was abused, blah, blah. Why would she? Once Muhammad dies, she's in a position of authority, quite significant authority within the Muslim community. If she started going around insulting Muhammad, not only would she lose that authority and her wealth and position, she'd very likely be executed as well for blasphemy against Islam. So, of course, she's not going to say anything.
Didn't say this happened or that happened. And even the people that were around at that time, they looked for any excuse to disparage him because they were idol worshippers, and here was an individual who was saying there's only one God. So naturally, they would look for any excuse. Not one of them ever said, this guy is this.
Yeah, but why would they? I mean, you've already said that, and it's true that, yes, child marriage did happen back then. So why would a bunch of polytheists that were annoyed with Muhammad for a whole bunch of other reasons be looking to something which would at that time be considered probably trivial. That's not a good argument.
Question.
Yeah,
So,
of
like
course.
in 2024, with Islam, what's the stance? How would that work today?
Yeah, now this is the good point which he gets onto, and I like this atheist guy. He's talking about 2024, and he does push Smarter Jannah pretty hard because he does dodge this question over and over. What does he think about it in today's world?
In your opinion or in Islam's opinion?
Yeah, so that's why, remember the third criteria,
Yeah.
it has to be socially acceptable.
Right.
So if I'm living in this country, or we're living in this country, like you said, there are many factors. One of those factors is the law of the land.
Yes, we stop you from being able to abuse children by saying, no, you can't have those kind of relations with them at that age. So, but this is not about what you personally think about it, or what the Islamic community thinks about it, or what would happen under a Sharia state. And that is the point. This is the question he's really asking you, and you're dodging around already by saying, is it socially acceptable? He's asking the Islamic context.
If a Muslim is staying in a country, we follow the law of the land.
Yeah.
Number two, also, like you said, mentally, there's something called childhood. Childhood was not something that was present back in the days, pre-World War II or pre-World War I.
Right.
I think that came like through the Renaissance or the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, which was a couple of hundred years before World War One and World War Two. So the history's a bit off there. But this is a really stupid point. He's trying to claim that the concept of childhood didn't exist before the Renaissance or before the Industrial Revolution. Now, you'd certainly say that the modern European concept of childhood did start to develop at that time. But to say that before then there was no sense of childhood, no concept of childhood, is just a lie. Because every culture on the planet is going to have some kind of ritual, some kind of initiation, some kind of recognition of milestones in a child life when they turn from child to adult.
That's when it kind of childhood came in, because before, mate, you know what happened? As soon as the child was of a certain age, they were like,
Yeah, exactly. As soon as a child is of a certain age, you just undercut everything you just said.
off you pop, start earning, start living. That's why kids over here, you send them up chimneys, they were down in the mines, because there was no such thing as childhood. Childhood came after.
I mean, children did often used to work at very young ages. That doesn't mean they still weren't recognised as children. What the hell is he talking about?
Afterwards. Now, as society has kind of gone in a different direction, the direction is
Yeah, a civilized direction.
children aren't ready. There's something called childhood, and mentally they're not ready. This is the law. No, today, in fact, if you actually look, Muslims are actually the least when it comes to surveys that marry young.
Yeah, I'd love to see the receipts on that. That sounds completely made up. Really, provide some evidence for that claim.
Mostly you'll find in India that happens, in America, in the conservative areas amongst the, I don't want to label certain kind of groups, but there are certain Christians that it happens among. In Africa it happens.
I'm sorry, so you really believe that there's people in America, certain conservative Christians, who are marrying 6-year-olds and consummating those marriages at 9? You really think that's true? And I mean, it's not surprising. What are the two countries he picks? India, because Smarter Jannah is obsessed with India and the Modi government and kind of hardline Hindus. He's constantly having a go. So of course he's going to throw the accusation without any evidence at India, and of course he's going to throw it at America because, again, another ideological enemy. But have you actually got any basis for those claims? No.
Because of course there's a lot of poverty, and they can't afford to have their kids lingering around.
Right.
When they're of a certain age, you start getting married, and boom, you move out and you do your thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is certainly true. I mean, child marriage doesn't just happen in Islamic communities. That's true. And yes, in places of poverty, say in sub-Saharan Africa and parts of Asia, yeah, you will find that amongst other groups outside of Islam for sure. And desperation can push people to do that. But here's the difference, right? They've got some extreme economic circumstances that are contributing to that terrible decision. You're advocating for that as somebody who lives in a wealthy country. You've got the privilege of being brought up in the UK. you are bound to be very wealthy now. You've got a big YouTube channel with all your subscribers. You're constantly asking for money. So I'm sure you're doing fine. And yet you're still advocating for child marriage. So what does that say about you? What does that say about how low your morality is?
Work, you get married, you survive on your own, because we can't survive Ebola, HIV, all of that sort of stuff.
I've got a question.
Of course.
Personal question.
Go for it.
I don't know, I've got a feeling you might know what I'm going to say, but so I don't know if you've ever got children. If you have got children, so you've got a daughter and she's 9, would you let her have sex with an adult?
Brilliant. See, this is it. And this is what people should do. So I respect this guy, because you should personalize it. Yeah. You got children. Are you going to let your 9-year-old be subject to that? And let's see how he ducks and dodges this like a professional.
I've already answered that, isn't it? In
No, you haven't.
today's day and age, it's not socially acceptable.
Would you allow your...
I love that. So it's not socially acceptable. So if it was socially acceptable, which translation means living in an Islamic state, we would then, you're therefore implying that you would be advocating for it. It's just you won't directly say it.
9-year-old to have sex with a man?
Today,
Yes.
she wouldn't be mentally ready. No girl's mentally
say
ready.
no?
Of course.
How do you know she wouldn't be mentally ready? You said that that was simply a condition. Now you're saying that no girl was ever going to be mentally ready. Why have that test then in Islam?
Yeah, no. Not 9, not 10, not 11, not 12, not 13. Bro, 18, no.
Okay.
Law allows her 18, no.
Okay.
20, okay. It depends how I've raised her. She might be ready by 20. Shall I tell you? You talked about brain
One more
development.
question,
Of
sorry.
course. Go.
So, around the world now,
Yeah.
in 2024, do you think is acceptable with Islam that 9-year-olds or 6-year-olds getting married, 9-year-olds having sex? Would you agree with that?
Islam doesn't encourage that.
Oh, do you see how he answered? He was asked directly within Islam. So you're talking about within the Islamic law, within the Islamic context, when Sharia conditions are all met, etc. Would you agree with that? And he just says Islam doesn't encourage it. So he's not saying no. He's not saying yes. He's trying to do this slippery crap again. It's pathetic.
Do you agree with it?
If a 9-year-old today, undeveloped, mentally undeveloped, no, of course not. This is ridiculous.
What if
Again, trying to put these qualifiers on it.
you think, okay, not quite, you're evading the question. So like,
Yeah, exactly. You are evading the question.
is it...
You're talking about the social aspect, isn't it?
Well, just...
No, he's not. He's talking about the Islamic context. Say all your conditions are met. Do you agree with marriage and consummation of marriage that young? It's really fucking simple.
Islam in general, because I think it is still being around done today. So do you agree with that? Or
I thought I answered your question in a bit more detail than you asked.
No, you dodged it, mate. You keep dodging it.
But tell me if I'm evading it again. I'll try to be direct. If the 9-year-old is not mentally ready, she's not physically ready, and it's not socially. If she was mentally ready and physically ready, then it's not socially acceptable.
He just refuses to say it directly because, unlike Ali Dawa, for example, who will, in some respects, he's just honest about it and he'll just say, yeah, I'm for that. This guy knows how bad that makes him look, and quite frankly, he's advocating for criminal behavior. So he's not going to say it directly. He keeps dodging around.
If you're in an Amazon rainforest or a jungle, then who are we to tell them, oh, you can't do that or this or that? It's up to them, isn't it?
He's not asking you that. He directly said that in the Islamic world, he's talking the Islamic concept, and you're talking about a fucking Amazon rainforest.
That's why I'm saying that Islam doesn't say, oh, you living in that.
Say if it happens in a country that it is acceptable, would you agree with that, or you got no stance?
9-year-old. Well, I was born and bred in the UK, so I know people with the society that I'm living in. 9-year-olds aren't developed here.
Oh, they're not developed here. But if it was in an Islamic caliphate, magically they would be developed. I mean, what the hell are you saying with that?
I'm
Or
biased.
In a country, forget the UK, in a country where...
Which country? Give me an
I
example.
don't know.
Saudi Arabia?
I don't know. Yeah, wherever it's...
I've been Saudi Arabia. 9-year-old is still too young nowadays.
Okay.
There's an extra level of creepiness to that. What does that mean? You went to Saudi Arabia and you were looking around at all the 9-year-olds going, yeah, probably not ready for consummation of marriage, I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's a hypothetical, smile to Jannah. Therefore, you're assuming that everyone's ready and that, according to your criteria, then do you agree with it? And you will not answer.
Do you know anywhere in the world where it's happening today? I don't know.
There are statistics of it happening in India and the US.
Again, it falls back to India and the US. I mean, he's got to be joking here. The propaganda that comes out of this guy's mouth. We know that child marriage goes on in many Islamic societies. We know that, as well as non-Islamic societies. So to just say it's going on in India and America, and again, even though in America it's against the law, I'm not sure what the law in India is, but I'm assuming they've got a minimum age over there. Maybe anyone from India can tell me in the comments. But I know for America that you would be put in prison if you try to consummate anything with a 9-year-old.
And in certain tribes in Africa. Yeah. I think 9 is...
Oh, so you... Oh, right. So he's willing to condemn it in non-Islamic societies where it's not actually legal to happen. He's willing to condemn it, but he'll dodge around when he's talking about Islam.
I think 9 is, in this day and age, is too young.
I agree.
But
it would be fine 50 years ago, right? Or 100 years ago? I mean, when did it suddenly not become right?
the thing is, for me to go to a African tribe and tell them, I don't know how they're functioning, I don't know how they're upbringing their kids. For me to go and start enforcing my way of life, I can tell them that, look, these are the 3 criteria in Islam.
Again, it's not, I mean, it's ironic because you do want to enforce your way of life on people. You just don't have the power to do it. But again, he's not asking you that. He's not asking you about non-Islamic society. He's asking you about within your own religion.
Yeah.
They might not accept Islam. I can explain to them logically that, look, that's the criteria. If they say, look, she's mentally ready, she's this, she's that, she's going to starve, she's that, I say, look, you guys know your situation best. Me, from a Eurocentric point of view and this and that, I can't really say. But if
you can't really say from a European-centric point of view what the view is on whether you should consummate with a 9-year-old. You really don't know what that view is? You bloody well do. The point is, you're talking about your own position here. And your own position does support this, which is why you're just doing this. Oh, well, I don't know. But from a Eurocentric point of view, yeah, every single European country would say that that's a criminal act.
she fulfills that 3 criteria and that country says it's socially acceptable, it's up to you guys. You do what you want.
Oh, so now you're saying, oh, well, if you want to do it, then that's fine. So, the brilliant morality of Smarter Jannah here.
You see, because I'm not going to enforce my view upon you. Me born and bred here and knowing how kids are and this, I'm not going to go to some next country and start saying, yeah, you guys should do this. I say, look, this is the 3 criteria that we have.
Yeah.
And he's asked you, if those 3 criteria were met, would you agree with children consummating marriages that young? And you will not answer directly.
If you think that's the criteria, it's up to you. You do what you want. Me condemning it or this or that, I don't think that's really my position. I would feel...
Now, your position is to answer his goddamn question on what the Islamic position is and do you agree with it. You will not say whether you agree with it.
Like, 9-year-old, is she ready? That would be my question.
And that's what makes you a monster, quite frankly, because anyone else would say, 9-year-old, yeah, that would definitely be a criminal act if somebody started to have any kind of consummation with that girl. You think, 9-year-old, is she ready? That you really shouldn't be allowed near schools or, any kids, quite frankly, if that is your attitude.
It would be up to them to prove if she is or not. And it would be up to me to prove, again, that she's not. Do you see? So the burden of proof would be on me if I'm saying, no, don't do it.
The answer you've given is very, you've explained it really well.
Now, unfortunately, right at the end here, he kind of lets himself down a bit, the atheist, because that was just one massive long dodge that Smarter Jannah was engaged in. But yeah, so as I say, I mean, this is pretty much it, this part of the video. I think he goes on to start talking about other religions and stuff as well, just more whataboutery. But he doesn't have the guts like Ali Darba, or maybe he's a bit smarter than Ali Darba not to say it out directly, because he knows what a predator that makes him look. But if you read between the lines, what he's saying is that if she's physically or mentally ready, yeah, he thinks that's all right. And the only thing that's stopping him is that we're not under Islamic law here. So this is the wonderful morality of Islam, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I will go through another part of this video because he starts to whitewash Sharia and tell a whole bunch of lies and exaggerations about it and acts as if it's like really great for everyone. So I'll be doing that in the second part, which I will release shortly. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.